Hey, Scott, welcome home.
Thank you, Mike. Hello.
Uh, we've missed a little bit the last couple of weeks, but not much. We'll catch up quickly.
All right.
And how everybody at home? Good to see you again, or at least hear from you again. Uh, so let's go with begin with the outage this week. AWS, Amazon Web Services, also known colloquially as Amazon Cloud. Uh, I believe it's still the most popular cloud service in the world. And it basically shut down half the world this week. This is one of those uh, outages, bugs that seem to be characterize the internet age, which is the old Richard III for want of a nail, the battle was lost. This one was caused by a basically a simple, almost more than once a day upgrade of its service, and it shut down half the internet, including Alexa, Netflix, Venmo, Instacart, Zoom, and a whole bunch of other tiny companies, uh, along with millions of services and apps, all because of a routine software upgrade. And the only good news in all of that, well, it didn't last too long, but the other good news was it hit Amazon first, showing that at least karma is still in effect in the internet age. I don't know what to derive from it, but it just goes to show even what you assume is the most secure and bulletproof operation can still be taken down by just a simple error.
Yeah, and it's not all that secure. I think a couple of things to take away. These outages have happened before, and so we've lived through this before. You're right, it didn't last very long, but it was still quite the splash of cold water. Also, just how dependent we are on not only AWS, but there are, I believe, three main cloud services between Amazon, Google, and Microsoft. And that's pretty much 92% of the whole internet right there. And so when you briefly even lose an AWS, you pay for it in so many ways. Businesses unable to do businesses, restaurants unable to make money. And this just went on for hours. And it really shows in this internet age, even 99.8% uptime, you still notice the downtime. And people really noticed that day that they weren't able to do what they needed to do hour by hour.
Yeah, luckily it was at 1 a.m. Or just after midnight, so uh, the misery was reduced. But you know, every year we become more and more dependent upon the internet
Right.
for every corner of our lives, and in the in the consequence, we become more vulnerable uh, in every corner of the light in our lives, including vital services, automatic systems. Who goes around after one of these things and has to hit the switch on for all of these autonomous systems out there? Pipelines, if a bad enough case of this could shut down it'd be worse than a Carrington event because it would literally shut the country down, and it would take a while to recover, and some things wouldn't recover. Uh, that's scary. And I don't know the solution to it because these are, in many ways, the most reliable systems mankind has ever developed. But there's still that weakness.
Yeah, I mean, talking to cybersecurity experts, the one thing they said that would be a solution would be to broaden out the number of cloud services and web services that we use. So instead of just a big three, each of which, by the way, has suffered this kind of an outage, it would be more spread out. And so you wouldn't lose so many companies and services and websites and apps and Alexa devices all at the same time.
Maybe we need the old tandem solution of just redundancy everywhere on a system like this. So you have more competition and you have less exposure and you have redundancy.
Yeah, you hear about that. That word redundancy was thrown around a lot earlier this week.
Yeah, I bet it was. Uh, did it get to Canada?
I don't know. I was down here, but yeah, these are worldwide apps, and no matter where you're driving or vacationing or whatever, it's going to affect you.
Okay. Next, interesting piece of news, just to give you an idea of growth of a company. Uh, it's an FA1 or FAL? FAL dot AI. Is that how you pronounce it? Well, it's come out of nowhere. It's one of these companies that it just raised in the largest private, uh, let's see, I want to get this exactly right. It was the largest private deal uh, of of the recent years. It raised a $4 billion valuation, and it raised approximately $250 million in cash. And the major investors in the round are Kleiner Perkins and Sequoia. Uh, Neither uh, declined, both of them declined to comment, and FAL didn't respond. But to give you an idea, this new round uh, is less than 3 months after FAL announced a $125 million Series C at a $1.5 billion valuation led by Meritech. That means in 3 months, less than 3 months, the company's valuation went from 1.5 billion to 4 billion. And this is a company you and I have never heard of. But its platform, it's basically a multimodal AI. So it's right in the wheelhouse of the latest craze, and especially after the introduction of Sora by OpenAI. Well, at the time Sora was introduced, the company's revenue just crossed $95 million, and its platform was used by over 2 million developers. We don't know how much its installed base is, but it had a year ago it had uh, just $10 billion in annualized revenues and 500,000 developers. So it's growing incredibly fast. And with multimodal, this company is going to be worth probably $10 billion by the end of the year. So that means you have a company that went from $1.5 billion to perhaps $10 billion in valuation in 12 months. That may be the latest poster child for AI hysteria.
I mean, we've seen a lot of AI hysteria. We've seen hundreds of billions of dollars in market value added to some of these companies within a day, even a week for more. I mean, it's just crazy how we've seen money trying to seek out places to go when it comes to AI. And that's why some of these startups are doing so well and presumably hiring and creating some jobs. But at the same time, we have seen concerns that we are not seeing profit come from AI companies, even the more established ones. And so now you've got this sort of push me, pull you. It's still time clearly to invest for a lot of these VC funds in AI startups. But at the same time, are we seeing that return on investment anywhere when it comes to the whole AI bubble?
Yeah, well, I think the Sora introduction goosed the market up. I mean, it went to the top of the US App Store even faster than ChatGPT did, which means that ChatGPT is now a old model for how fast a company can grow. I mean, this is a company that you and I almost know nothing about, except that it's multimodal AI. So it can do still pictures, it can do video, and it can do well, basically everything that everybody wants right now. Audio to audio AI. We barely heard of it, and it's already a multi-billion-dollar company that's, heading up the Fortune one, starting to head up the Fortune 1000. If there was any definition of a bubble, this may be it. I mean, the whole AI business is shaky. AI retail is, the companies designing apps and that sort of thing is wobbly. They're not growing that fast. At the same time, uh, OpenAI is nailing down all of the major companies in tech. So it's creating a kind of a can't fail model monopoly. And this sounds so much like 2001, I'm afraid to say. And I'm the guy that put the guillotine on the cover of Forbes ASAP magazine, warning everybody this was coming. And even my own team, my editors said, "You don't know what you're talking about, Mike. This is a stupid idea. This can go on forever." Well, you know, basically before the issue came out, everything crashed. And I'm wondering about this. Uh, we have the infrastructure being built. The most recent deal was between, where was it? It's Meta and Blue Owl have signed a record $27 billion joint venture deal for the tech giant's Hyperion data center, signaling a pivot in how big tech is funding its AI ambitions. So the infrastructure is being built. The electrical power is beginning to be installed. Uh, is this going to be one of these things where the companies that design apps for AI are all going to crash in another bubble, but will come out of it with a complete infrastructure to build the next revolution? Because we had that in the dot-com bubble. People didn't notice that the industry kept growing in terms of market size, even as thousands of companies died. And moreover, a number of companies came, and we know now that are giants, came out of the dot-com bubble bursting. So is that the model we're heading towards?
We don't know, but you're right in that when a big new thing hits, internet, social media, whatever, there are lots of companies and all of them get rich briefly. And then it turns out there's got to be a shakeout because they can't all be that successful. But you do have the infrastructure for something new. And clearly with AI, you've got that something new in play, but we don't know, A, what all these companies are going to do to make money, or B, certainly, like you say, that they'll all even survive. So something is in play here for efficiency. You can throw in the robotics of it all. I was just at the Amazon data center, looking at all that robotic stuff that's going to help them, but also help them save and not have to hire humans. And so a lot of that is going on at these companies, but we just don't know how much money will come out of it. And certainly, they can't all be winners. They just never are. And so eventually there will be a shakeout, but it feels too early to even know where the shakeout will happen yet.
Okay. Interesting little item by WordPress co-founder and Automatic CEO, that's two T's, Automatic CEO, Matt Mullenweg, called the company's Tumblr acquisition, which you think of as being you know, a nice play, a successful play. He called it his biggest failure, but one he hasn't given up on yet. And speaking at WordCamp Canada 2025, you probably drove by it. Uh, Mullenweg went live for a town hall session, and he said the problem is, quote, Tumblr is on a different technical stack than WordPress. something he intended to correct by migrating the back end to the WordPress infrastructure. However, the massive undertaking was put on hold earlier this year as the cost to move Tumblr's 500,000,000 blogs. Did you know there were 500,000,000 blogs out there?
Makes
I know
sense.
you read a
Sure.
lot of I know you read a lot of blogs each week, but 500,000,000 of them would be given difficult that the blogging platform wasn't profitable and continues to be sustained by the profits of other automatic products. So Tumblr is a failure, even though it's a huge success in terms of users and contributors, because it's almost impossible to migrate it to a useful and platform because it's so big. It has so many participants that it's almost beyond the ability of the company, especially when it's not making any money, to do what it needs to do. That's an
Well, let's not forget that it also sold out to Yahoo, which is where a lot of those kind of companies went to die. And so it did not find the right place, clearly.
yeah, it's like Oracle, where you get bought and no one and they never advance the technology a single you know line of code after that. It's just a cash cow. So okay, well, it's still got a bill. It's still got a 500,000,000 blogs. So I wonder, are we going to, should people be investing in other blog hosting sites as this migration begins?
No, that's a very, very old technology that did not make money. It's all about podcasting now. It's the new media is social media,
You're
podcasting.
wrong.
Yeah, blogs are great to read, but I don't think there's been a real moneymaker with it in a long, long, long time.
Okay, Elon Musk says he needs his that $1 trillion uh, in order to build his stake in Tesla so much that he could not only become the world's first trillionaire, but that isn't his aim. Sure, it isn't, but it's to increase his planet-leading wealth to protect his company. And what he means by that is, quote, I'm going to quote you because he's always entertaining. It's not like I'm going to go spend the money, Musk said on a call with investors this Wednesday. There needs to be enough voting control to give me a strong influence, but not so much that I can be fired if I go insane. So the only thing that can stop him is madness. He said he needs to protect Tesla from two influential but hardly all powerful research firms that advise shareholders how to vote, ISS and Glass Lewis, which he described as corporate terrorists. I don't feel comfortable building a robot army here and then being ousted because of some asinine recommendations from ISS and Glass Lewis, who have no freaking clue. I bet he didn't use freaking. They have made many terrible recommendations in the past, and that if those recommendations had been followed, it would have been extremely destructive to the future of the company. Sour grapes?
Yes, he doesn't like investors that want to do anything that he doesn't want to do, clearly. And he wants control. He's had control for a long, long time, but I guess he's still worried about it. And this constantly comes up. But it's interesting because every time he comes up with a new pay package, people say, oh, they'll never reach it. And Tesla reaches it. And that's how you get to be the world's richest man. So there is precedent set for Musk, for all of the craziness, really, really pleasing Tesla investors.
But it's interesting, he actually named the firms, ISS and Glass Lewis. You don't normally see a CEO doing that because you might even get worse uh, analysis of your company.
Well, I think he knows what's coming. He's always taken direct aim at the short sellers. He's taken direct aim at activist investors. He doesn't care about the blowback clearly. And that's Elon Musk. He's just going to throw it out there.
Well, um, SpaceX had a good launch this last 2 weeks, but uh, a report from the federal government claims that maybe it was NASA claims that SpaceX is falling behind the international competition. That's something that you don't hear about Elon Musk very often.
No, but if there's more competition for any of this, I think that's good because eventually they're trying to consumerize this. And much like what we saw with the Starlink satellites, if it's in the hands of one person and one company, it can be dangerous. And so the more competition for any of this, I say the better.
Well, he must have ground his teeth when the government said, "Well, we're also looking at other suppliers like Blue Origin." That must have been a shot across his bow. Let's see how he responds to that. Okay, and finally, guess what's back? SPACs. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. But I mean, the subtitle, Wall Street's favorite scapegoat can be a vital source of new public corporations. And I was like, you're kidding. Uh, we talked about SPACs in depth and the dangers of them way back in before COVID. Um, but apparently they're back in a big way this year. There's been 91 new SPAC IPOs raising $16.5 billion so far, up 34 from 34 new SPACs that raised 3 billion in this same period last year. So it's growing. It's up 40% since the first year that SPACs got really popular. What do you think? I mean, there's some arguments for it that obviously they're risky, but uh, they don't seem to be celebrity driven anymore. They don't seem to be the pandemic boom uh, seemed to drive the craze on risky investments. These seem to have some basic uh, invulnerabilities, not maybe just I'll say strengths. They're not bullet clad, but they do offer the ability to, if you don't like where the SPAC is going, you can actually take out your investment up to 2 years. I mean, that's an interesting insurance policy. A lot of investment banks and you know other speculators, not necessarily known for being super high risk, seem to be taking positions in all this. Um, leverage, leverage companies seem to think it's not a bad idea, which may be you know, a warning signal right there.
Right.
The SPAC management team typically has 2 years to find, negotiate terms, and close a deal with a private company that they believe has a high potential to be successful in a public market. Now, we saw TJ Rogers. He got hot on SPACs. I don't even know what happened to those. Um, but it looks like they're saying the pre-business combination SPAC, it's a new kind of SPAC. It's a low risk option oriented strategy where you generate a T-bill plus type yield, and you can get equity optionality through announcing a good transaction that the market receives well. It's it sounds like bullshit from last time, you know. But what do you think?
Yeah, I think it is. I think when the market gets hot, people try to IPO in any way possible. The ones who can do it well, do it in the traditional way. The ones who can't seek the easy way, let's say. And that's what a SPAC has become. And so you've got a stock market trading in the mid to high 40,000s. And so a lot of companies want to go public. We have seen more IPOs that make sense. But we've also seen companies that just should not go public and they go SPAC. And the reason you haven't heard of the ones that you were referring to is because a lot of them just flat out go away. And that's why you shouldn't put your money in them. They're dangerous. And so they're back because there's a lot of money out there and things are very frothy. But we should have learned our lesson the first time and maybe even the second time that SPACs got hot.
Uh, so leave it to people that have large amounts of disposable income they're willing to lose. Is that the bottom line on this?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to invest in anything. And if you're going to invest in something, do your research. And I think you'll find if it's a regular IPO, you're going to find a pretty impressive background. If it's a SPAC, you're going to find less of an impressive background, generally speaking. And that should warn you away, especially when you even said it yourself, the leveraged companies that like these. Well, okay, they like them for a reason. And it's not a reason that you should invest your hard-earned money in.
Here's the craziest sentence of the week, and it has to do with this story. Uh, Betsy Cohen closed the deal in August to take Ukraine's largest mobile operator, uh, Kyivstar Group, public through a SPAC merger, raising $178 million. Kyivstar is an example of a company that, despite having a commanding warp market position and strong profit margins, probably could not have gone through a traditional IPO due to geopolitical risks. Yeah, that's the understatement of the year. However, should a war in the Ukraine come to an end, it could pay off handsomely for investors. Okay,
If you're an investor and you have
there
to
you
wait
are
for a
in a
war,
nutshell.
yeah.
There you are in a nutshell. Ukraine's mobile telephone system. I'm sure there's a lot of need for repair on any given month. It just went through a SPAC and raised $178 million on the speculation that when the war ends, you're going to make a killing. Okay. Yeah.
That's kind of a risk right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bit of a red flag.
On the other hand, from 2015 through the middle of 2005, basically from the last time we talked about this and dismissed it until now, the percentage of IPOs involving a SPAC increased 46%. There were 1,270 SPAC IPOs and 2,749 total IPOs over this period. So they're back. Uh, I wouldn't bet the children's college education on this, but there you are. And that's it. That's it for now, folks. You can find us on Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. And you can see Scott on Facebook and X, and of course, almost every weeknight on NBC Bay Area. See you next week, folks. And it will be next week. Bye.